We're going to start today in a child's pose, please. Coming from hands and knees, bringing knees a bit wider. Sit hips right back towards heels. And just let the arms float out long. Relax hands, relax elbows down. And if you can, bring your head to the floor. Let your head completely relax down. Feeling your shoulders start to open. Feel your spine lengthening. All the space opening across the back body. With every breath, we're settling deeper into the pose, relaxing any tightness, just noticing if there's any tension in your body that you're holding, any kind of restriction, resistance, or gripping. And then we'll begin with walking our hands over to one side to stretch up through one side of the body. So reach one arm quite far across, tuck the other elbow in towards the leg, let it come to the floor, and drop hips towards heels again. Coming around to the other side. Stretch out long so you can feel it all the way down the side of your body. Drop hips back and ease in. Bringing hands to the front again. Stretch them out long, this time floating the elbows off, so we'll keep arms straight and have your forehead just off the ground. Planting down into the left hand, float your right hand off the ground and keep the shoulders strong. Try and keep your ear in line with your bicep. So you might be only just off the ground, or you might even be keeping your fingertips on the ground if it's too challenging to lift off. It might be a bit harder than you think. Holding it just for one more breath and then touching down, coming to the other side. So when you're ready, float the left hand off. Just feel that strength of the muscles that support the shoulder blade. So trying to keep your arm right up by your ear. Even if you're shaking a little bit, let's just hold and keep breathing for one more breath. And touch down. Let your elbows rest down, let your head come down, and take a few breaths. Noticing if your back muscles have tensed up, let's let them just relax back again. And then we'll come on up to hands and knees, bringing knees under hips. So planting wrists under shoulders. Try and keep that feeling of engagement around the shoulder blades. So we want to keep the shoulder blades really tucked in against the body, drawing shoulders away from ears. A little lift in the belly button towards the spine. So there's our really strong tabletop position. And we'll move through the cowl pose first, drawing the belly down and eye gaze just ahead. And then pulling the belly in, rounding out, broaden across the back of the body again to our cat pose. Coming through to cow. and curling to catch. Just a couple more times. Feel the shoulder blades pull back together towards each other. And round. And then we'll reset our tabletop position, feeling the strength around the shoulders again. Just release one hand and ease through the rest with a few little circles, bring your fingers, and reset your pose. So just making sure you've got a little bit of space around you. Let's float the left leg out long. Keep it around hip height so that we're not rolling the hips open. We want to keep both hips pointing towards the floor, still with that little lift in the belly. And then if you're feeling steady, raise the right arm and hold it strong. So we're keeping bicep by ear. Make sure you're not sagging in the middle. So pulling in and up through the belly. And then float out to the diagonal, just as far as you can without disturbing your posture. Come forward and back again, and touch down, switch sides. So left arm, right leg. Bring your arm right up by your ear, but make sure that you're not dropping in the middle to compensate. Okay, holding here, reaching fingers away from toes, and then slide out to the diagonal, just as far as you can without losing your pose. Coming forward and back. Touch down really lightly and switch to the other side again. So first side, reaching out long, out to the diagonal, keep your eye gaze on the ground, forward and back, and touch down, smooth transition to the second side. So reach away, float out, forward and back, and land. All right, let's go left leg. We'll send the left leg out, so hopefully you've got enough space width-wise today. Keep your foot parallel to your body, so the toes are still pointing forward, and press down into the outer edge of the foot. Make sure that the heel is on the ground. Okay, and we want to keep the leg round about in line with the hip, so we're not forward and we're not back. And we're just going to move through Cowl Pose. And then pulling the belly in to our cat pose. Going through to cow, tipping the tailbone up. So you might feel the muscles of the leg engage, just to hold strong. Curling in. And let's do that one more time. So belly towards the ground, eye gaze just ahead of you. And pulling in and up. And then let's reset, bringing knees under hips. You might find that that opposite hand felt a bit heavier in the ground. And then send the other leg out, so the right leg out to the side. Plant it to the floor, so toes are pointing forward. I don't know if you can actually see my foot in the video. All right, and then let's move into our cow pose. And round to catch. To cow. And catch. And one more time. Rounding. And reset into a neutral position. Okay, so we're going to add on from here. Shoot the left leg out. And this time, I'm going to rise on up. Float arms high. And then pull your elbows down. And bring them just slightly back a little. So you're still engaging the muscles of the upper back and around the shoulders. Pulling the belly in. Reach on up. Hands come to the floor. And let's do one cowl pose, and one cat pose. Bringing the knee under, other leg shoots out, rise on up. So we want that tailbone tilted down a little, belly in, fingers reaching high, elbows pull down and slightly back, reaching up, hands come down, so moving with control, lengthen through to your cowl and round to cat. Same thing again, one more time to each side, switch the legs over. So I'll show you a version from the front. So the left leg comes out to the side, we'll curl on up, keep driving down into the outer edge of the left foot. Make sure you're not popping the ribs forward, we're contained at the front of the body. Elbows pulling down, slightly back to feel the muscles engage. Reach on up. Touch down, moving with control here. Cowl and cat. To the other side. Rise with your in-breath, trying to stack hips above knee. So hips, ribs, shoulders and head, elbows pulling down. Extend. Land, cowl, and round. Bring these under, let's sit back for a bit so you can stay up or go to a child's pose, relieve the wrists if they need it, just moving fingers, rolling wrists. Okay. Now, planting hands firmly, let's come on up to our down dog. So tucking toes under, lifting your hips up high. See if you can find that same strong position so that we're not dropping the whole body through. We want to be lifted through the belly, closing in through the front ribs, shoulders drawing away from ears and feeling your shoulder blades hugging around your back body. So try and keep your ears around about in line with your biceps. Knees bent or a little straighter, whatever feels right to you. And let's just hold for another breath. And then we'll send the right leg up and bring it through into a lunge. Drop the back knee down and release that foot. So we'll just take a moment here. If your foot is all the way back, let's just take one more big step so that we can drop heavily into the heel. Take a moment to ease in, starting to stretch through the front of the hip or maybe into the quad, depending on where you're most tight. And then we'll push down into this front heel as we float arms high. Same move again, so make sure that you're not dropping everything forward. We want to be containing the front of the body. This is how we build a strong core. So the whole core section of the body is strong. And then pull elbows down. So still got that little tip in the pelvis, so you're feeling a deep stretch at the front of the hip. Float arms high. Fingertips come down, and this time we'll sit the hips back. Try flexing the foot to keep this leg really strong. Send the tailbone back and lengthen your chest forward. So we're trying to create a lot of length through the torso so that we're not rounding and hunching into the pose. Aiming to keep the hips level, moving the chest forward. You could have a hand to your thigh or you could bring both hands to the floor. Okay, coming back through our lunge. Plant the hands, tuck the back toes under, lift the hips, and then step both feet back to your down dog. Same thing on the other side. So send your left leg up. Sweep the leg through. So if you kind of land about halfway, then take another giant step forward until you get all the way. Drop that back knee down. Release the toes. And ease into your pose. Notice if you feel a bit tighter on this side, you might have one side that's tighter around the hip area. Okay, and then pushing down into the front heel. Also a little bit of resistance in that back foot to help you to balance. Arms sweep high. So pulling in through ribs, through belly, then pull the elbows down. Reaching up. Touch down. Let's come back for our hamstring stretch. Keep your hips level as we sit back. Flex the foot to create a much stronger stretch. Trying to lengthen your belly forward. So we're not rounding and hunching into it. Just another breath here. And then slowly come through your lunge again. Hands to the floor, tuck the back toes. Might want to rock it a couple of times and then step both feet back. Power down into your hands. So take a moment to find your posture again. That beautiful long line through the torso, not collapsed, not rounded. Just feeling somewhere in between that your body is strong and stable. Send your right leg up. This time we'll take it further. So bend the top knee and roll your hips open, driving the knee high. Try and keep your shoulders level so the weight is even in both hands and you have that same feeling of strength around both shoulder blades. Okay, and then we'll step the foot right up by the hand. So if you need to, taking 2 or 3 steps to get there. Coming all the way up this time into our lunge. Sweep arms up. Let's dip the back knee. So bring a little bit of weight back. Pull the belly in, send the elbows down. Rise on up. Now lengthen the back leg and float your fingertips either to the floor if you can reach, or both hands to your shin or even on your thigh. Choose where you feel most stable. Try and keep the hips level. And we'll have a slight bend in this front knee, so we're never completely locking the joint. We want to keep the muscles engaged, but start to lean forward until you can feel a stretch up the back of the leg. Holding for another breath. And we'll come back to our down dog. So stepping both feet back. Let's do the same thing on the other side. Left leg lifts. Bend the top knee, roll the hips open. Keep that bottom knee facing forward so we're not twisting the leg inwards. Just rotate the left shoulder down a bit so they're both level. Pause for a breath. And then take a giant step through. So your stance could be a little bit shorter or longer, whatever you need. Climb on up, sweep arms high. Bend the back knee, feel that little tip in the pelvis. Elbows draw down. Reaching up. Fingertips to the floor or climbing higher up your leg. It's your choice. Pull the hips back, lengthen your chest forward. Big, easy breaths. Try and keep a lot of strength in this pose so that we're not just collapsing into it. It's not so much of a restful pose. Okay, this time we're going to come in for a forward fold. So step feet round about hip width apart. Let your head hang, let the shoulders relax. Maybe hold elbows if that feels good to you. If you want to rock side to side or forward and back, just go with what feels good. Okay, then release arms, roll all the way up to standing. Loop your shoulders up, back and down a few times. And then just settle in. So feel the weight drop into your feet, belly tilting in or tilting upwards, tailbone lengthening down. So still maintaining this nice posture. So there's a lot of stability and integrity in the core. Now interlace fingers, push palms towards me, and allow your back to round out. So pull in through the belly and push your palms away. And then we're going to stretch over to one side. Come through center, stretch over to the other side. Through center, coming up a little bit higher. Curve and lift. A little bit higher again. So a big circle around. You might notice that naturally you want to breathe in as you lift and to breathe out as you curve forward. Of course, if it's hard on your shoulders, then you could have maybe hands on hips, something like that if there's any aggravation or old injuries. Okay, let's just do one more round. And then just loosen up the arms. Bring your hands behind, link fingers again, and then draw your shoulders up, back and down. And push your knuckles down towards the floor, lift your chest proud. Now we're not letting the banana, we're not letting the back banana out. Okay, so we want to be pulling in, creating the stability through the body. And then just lifting the chest proud, tipping tailbone down. Soften knees. Tip from hips and dive your chest forward. Let your head hang and keep drawing your arms even further over, like you're trying to bring your hands towards your head. Again, if there are any injuries, any aggravation around the shoulders, just let them hang or even just hold on to your forearms behind your back. No need to work through any pain of any kind. Here you might like to just slightly rock forward and back. Feel the difference in the stretch up through the hamstrings. Maybe rocking from side to side. And then we'll release the arms slowly and gently. Let them hang towards the floor. Now step 1 foot back, pivot on your feet. So we're in a wide leg forward fold. Bring your hands under your shoulders. And then we'll tip the tailbone high. So kind of like our cowl pose where we're drawing belly down, tailbone high. And then pull the belly in and round out. So you can kind of feel the difference between each movement, just like our cat cow. So moving through a cowl pose and then pulling in and rounding out. And then we'll find a position that's halfway in between, just like our strong tabletop position. So we're not dropping through, we're not hunching. Finding that really centered position, belly pulling in, spine long, shoulders drawing away from ears. Just holding for another breath here, and while you're here, think about the power in the feet, pressing into the outer edges of the feet, rocking back into heels, pressing into the balls of the big toes, and then walk your hands inwards towards the invisible line between your feet. Keep tipping hips high and pressing your chest down. Okay, so you might find that you're still a bit higher here, depending on your flexibility. Maybe you're moving a little bit closer to the ground. You may find also that you instinctively want to pull up through the quads, and that's going to help create stability in your pose. So we're not relaxing the legs, we want to stay strong, which will help to create strength and flexibility. hold for one more breath. And then we'll come on out, bring hands under shoulders, scooch one leg under, come and take a seat. Soles of the feet together with knees wide. Loop the shoulders up, back and down. Plant your hands, lift your chest proud, push the knees down and out. Feel the shoulder blades moving towards each other. If you want to take this higher, you could float your hips off the ground. Keep powering down into the hands and trying to lift the chest proud of the shoulders. Stay for one more breath and release out slowly. Shoot one leg out long with the other foot tucked in towards the thigh, or the foot could be further down by the calf. Just make sure you can sit upright so you're not falling backwards. Leaning in towards the long leg. So again, we want to be focusing on moving the torso forward rather than just curving and reaching, tipping from the hips and let hands float down. Easy breaths. Okay, slowly rise and bring your hand behind your hip. Sweep the other arm over. Let's lift hips off. If you can, keep rotating your shoulders open. Maybe even look up to the ceiling if you can. Try and make this pose open and expansive. Feeling the points of stability, pushing against the ground, and lower down slowly. Coming to the other side. Sitting up tall, leaning in towards the long leg, hands float down, and just breathe into the pose. Take it to wherever it feels good to you. Just really mindful of the position of your body, and also mindful of how your breath moves through your body. Okay, coming up, hand behind hip, shoulders stacked over your wrist, lifting off. So reach fingers away and then rotate your body open. Maybe you can turn your chest upwards, press against the bottom hand, press against the foot on the ground. Stay for one more breath. Lower with control and come and lie all the way down onto your back. Bring these up towards your chest. Gather them and gently let your shoulders fall against the ground. Nestle in. So you may find the shoulder blades are slightly tucked against the back body. Now bring your left foot to the floor, right foot hooked over the thigh and pressing your knee away from you. You can stay right there, or you could lift off and grab behind the other thigh. Just make sure you're not curling off the ground. We want to rest head and shoulders back down. So here we can generate some resistance between the ankle and the thigh as they press towards each other. Keep pushing the knee wide. So that's how we can access that stretch around the outside of the leg, right up near the hip. Keep your legs where they are and just release your arms. Close your thighs together, so we've got the right leg crossed over the top. Lower over to the left side until the legs relax down. And you can shuffle the hips a little bit so that you can really relax here. Check in with the knees if there's any discomfort, or even around the pelvis or lower spine. You can just unhook the knees and bring them together. So let your shoulders fall towards the ground. Breathe with ease. Stay for one more breath. Really try and relax with the out breath. Then we'll make our way out of the pose, coming back up through center. Realign everything so the hips are nice and square again. Right foot to the floor, left foot over the top, presuming that's the other side. Knee falls open. Stay here if you want to, or lift off. Try and keep your foot flexed, just to help support your knee in this position. Gently drawing thigh towards you, bent knee away from you, but without lifting your hips off the ground. So all of these poses, all of these stretches are very active. We're not just relaxing into them. We're trying to create strength and stability in every pose, so that we're not just hanging into it. Let's hold for around 2 more breaths. Release the hands, open arms wide, close thighs together, and lower with control over to the right side. Move your hips a bit if you need to. Check in with the knees, make sure they're feeling good. Always modify if they don't feel good. And that back shoulder wants to fall towards the ground, creating a lot of space to breathe into. Coming out really slowly. Gather knees up towards your chest, one hand on each knee, just for a breather. And then bring soles of the feet together, knees open, or moving into any other position where you feel more comfortable, knees bent up or outstretched. We're only here for a few more minutes, so make sure the shoulders feel comfortable. Let them broaden open, shoulder blades tucked beneath your back. Feeling the position, the tilt of your chin so that your neck is relaxed. Just let everything relax down. Even softening your facial expression, relaxing around your chest, ribs, belly. Make space to breathe. Staying just as you are for a few more calm, smooth breaths. And then when you're ready to bring in some movement again, take it slow. Move in a way that feels good. Maybe you're stretching out or wriggling or twisting. And then bringing knees up towards your chest. Take time coming up to seated. Loop shoulders up, back, and down a few times. And then let them just settle gently away from ears. Taking one more breath to finish. Arms open and reach all the way to the top. Hands touch and come down your center line.